Great to be here with you all. Let's pretend we're all at lunch having martinis. We're all friends. I'm going to be up here talking, but I'd love to interact with you all. So feel free to chime in. I wish we could come on camera and have a conversation, but put your questions in the chat. We can kind of freestyle this as I go. Feel free to ask any questions along the way. So let me share my screen and we'll get rolling. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Good. Okay. All right, cool. All right. Well, I'm so excited to be here. We're going to talk about omnichannel commerce. That sounds like a lot, but I'm going to break it down in a way that's hopefully accessible to you all, and you'll learn something along the way. We're going to talk about why it matters, sort of getting set up for success, the foundational channels, the emerging channels, and how to think about sort of crafting your strategy. So I'm Brandy Alexander, founder of Tandemtide. We're a performance marketing and omnichannel commerce agency based here in the Toledo area. We've been working with JumpStart for many years now. Lots of different companies we've worked with along the way. I started in sort of digital commerce back in the day, 2009. I worked at a small digital agency, and one of our clients was Tony Paco's, which, if anybody's familiar, they're a big Toledo brand, but nationwide too. And we were shipping products all over the country, and this was back in the day. And we would ship. They do hot dogs, they do chili. It's a food brand. And we would ship these packages all over the country with dry ice. People would come to the website, order. They've got a big, sort of loyal brand following. And so I learned it from that, from the ground up, really. So that became sort of core to my career is, kind of being the e-commerce expert. So I worked at a few different digital agencies. I led the digital team at a much bigger agency. Then I started my own agency that was focused on Amazon. That was back in 2016. COVID hit 2020. We had our best year ever because everybody all of a sudden wanted to be, selling on Amazon. And kind of launching their own e-commerce website. So that agency was acquired a couple years ago, 2022, and then I started Tandemtide from there. So Tandemtide is really focused on a couple core things: brand strategy, marketing execution, performance marketing, and then the omnichannel commerce too. So we've got a lot of different variety in terms of our clients, but commerce is one of our core competencies and something that we're, quite well known for. So I've worked with everybody from Meyer, we've our Amazon experts, Walmart, Target, Instacart, and this is just specific to commerce. But I went to Bowling Green. I got a master's degree from Columbia College in Chicago. And I describe myself, my expertise is connecting dots, lines, and people, omnichannel commerce, marketing strategy, and brand activation. So I did write a book, launched it a few years ago. Here it is. You can find it on Amazon. Please order many copies and leave 5-star reviews. It's called Garage Branders, and it's really, I wrote this book because I run into so many brand founders, just like you guys, and business owners and entrepreneurs that had just kind of crazy stories. And, it became, a collection of stories about the people that I work with, the clients I've worked with. Jenny Britton, who founded Jenny's Ice Cream, wrote the foreword of my book. And we launched the book at South by Southwest back in 2022. So that was a wild ride. But like I mentioned, we are experts in the leading growth marketing platforms out there right now. Amazon experts, Walmart, Instacart. We do a lot of Google ads. We are Shopify partners. We also develop WordPress and WooCommerce websites. We do Klaviyo. We're Klaviyo partners. And then we do all the socials too. So when it comes to what does your brand look like on social media, I have a whole team that's dedicated to just doing that. Some brands that we've worked with over the years, Marzetti, Lono Life, Squirrel Nuts, Orchard Valley Harvest, a lot of different types of consumer packaged good brands, and some other ones too, but that was really kind of focused on that. Um, Like I mentioned, I've spoken at South by Southwest. I was on at the Amazon brand activation at Cannes Lions a few years ago. You can find me quoted in Digiday, Modern Retail, Fast Company. So I do some thought leadership along the way too. All right, so let's get set up for success. Let's start with the fundamentals. I don't know where everybody is, so if I'm sort of starting at a too basic of a level, just, kind of chime in, ask any more advanced questions, or if I'm speaking Greek, also let me know, because I think we've got a range of people here, so I'm going to try my best to accommodate everybody. So let's talk about, why are we even having this conversation? It really boils down to the fact that, consumers no longer shop on a single platform. I think you all know that from your own personal journey as a consumer. They discover, research, compare, and purchase across multiple channels. The customer journey is no longer linear. Every interaction influences the buying decision. So brands must deliver a consistent experience across websites, marketplaces, social commerce, retail, live shopping, and more channels, even beyond that. But those are the core. So that's really what we're going to be talking about. Is that shift from that single channel, oh, I'm going to buy on Amazon, to I'm going to buy you, you as in your brand. I'm going to buy you at retail. I'm going to buy you on your website. I'm going to buy you through TikTok Shop. And I might also buy you through Amazon too. So having that sort of brand presence in the super dialed in across all those channels is fundamentally what we're talking about. Because customers expect a seamless transition between these channels, whether they're shopping online, in store, or through the social platforms. So, omnichannel strategies increase customer lifetime value by creating more opportunities to engage and convert. And then first party customer data becomes more valuable when connected across all of these touch points. So success is no longer measured by sales on one channel. I have a lot of clients that are super zeroed in on just Amazon. Well, you really shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket anyway. You could have issues with Amazon where, Amazon, you have an Amazon violation and all of a sudden you're dead in the water and that's your main channel. So you want to kind of de-risk where your brand is being sold by having it more distributed, and having multiple places where people can shop you and inventory is distributed across various channels. So that is my number one thing is don't have all your eggs in one basket. Um, Look at the whole kind of ecosystem because the future really does belong to brands that meet customers wherever they choose to shop, not where brands prefer to sell. And this is a lot of the conversations I have with my clients who, may have a small team, may not have the bandwidth, and you want to kind of grow strategically, but to say that we're only going to sell on, through retail, or through one or two channels in this day and age is really no longer an option. Don't operate your business like it's 2010. Let's talk about 2026, 2027, where people can shop you seamlessly across multiple channels. So it really is about creating that one connected customer experience everywhere your customers already are. So let's talk about your technology stack. And I know a lot of people on this call probably aren't tech bros, and I totally get that. That's why we're here, is to help you kind of navigate some of that. But just to kind of give you the backbone of what we're talking about here is your technology stack should be able to keep up with what we're talking about. So fundamentally, a fast, mobile-friendly, conversion-optimized website that builds trust and improves sales. The days of, oh, I've got a cousin that does websites on the side, or, I saved money by using an intern to build my website. Those days are done. If you really want to be competitive, you really need to, especially with all the security and implications of today's, kind of AI world, you really need to have like a super lockdown website that also tells a really good brand story at the same time. Clean, accurate product data ensures consistency across every marketplace and sales channel. High quality product content, including images, videos, descriptions, and attributes, improves discoverability and conversion. We're going to go into that a little bit in terms of product content. I'm a product content nerd. I want to kind of have a conversation there too. But, building a strategy and an operational foundation is also key. So kind of the back end. Ideally inventory, pricing, order management systems should stay synchronized across all channels to prevent overselling and operational issues. Integrate key platforms such as ERP, PIMS, CRMs, and marketing automation to create a connected ecosystem. And I'm not trying to blow your mind I can tell some of you are thinking, I'm not there yet. That's okay. That's okay. We want you to scale to that. You may not be there today, but this is just for you to think about what the future could be when your brand starts to scale. Because it's all about building a scalable process that supports growth without adding unnecessary complexity. Leveraging analytics and dashboards to make data-driven decisions instead of relying on assumptions is also key. And there's so many tools out there, it can be overwhelming, but there are some popular systems for growing brands. So, I know most of you aren't enterprise brands, but there are some systems that work well within, a very defined budget. Shopify and WooCommerce are our favorite, website carts to develop on. So we're experts in that. But we also have done Magento. We work with other carts. It's just these are our kind of our go-to, and they work really well for our clients and the technologies that we integrate with. For inventory and orders, there's Sin7, Extensive, Linworks, ERP, NetSuite. Maybe you're too small for NetSuite, but there's Microsoft Dynamics. For PIM, there's Salsify and Akeneo. CRM, HubSpot, marketing automation, Klaviyo and HubSpot. We use both of those. And then integrations as Celigo, Patchworks, and Zapier. Because the most successful brands build an integrated technology ecosystem where inventory, product data, customer data, and orders flow seamlessly between systems, creating a single source of truth across every sales channel. Is there a question? Oh,
No,
okay.
that was just me letting everyone know that if anything comes up, they can just type it in the chat.
Yes, for sure. Um, okay, here we go. So let's talk about that. That was kind of the setup. So, just making sure that you've got at least some level of that infrastructure set up. And if you don't, we can help. But now let's kind of switch gears and talk about personas because as we go down this street about getting your brand more awareness and getting your brand out there to drive sales, one of the first things that I want you to think about is who's your typical customer. You may think about that all the time, but I want you to think about it in terms of people, personas. So I'm going to walk through that because that's usually where we start with a brand is, okay, who are your personas? And I would say my advice is to involve the whole team. So, kind of gather data, and I'm talking sales data, CRM, surveys, competitor research. Look for patterns, not just assumptions. I think you can make a lot of assumptions about who's buying your brand, but until you kind of dig in and do some of this foundational work, you don't really know. And I'd like you to have a more data-driven sort of outlook on who your persona is, your key personas. I like to have three that define you define those key characteristics, segment based on engagement needs, and then leverage the tools to streamline persona creation. So we use a tool that I'm going to show you in a second. But the best personas focus on problems, motivations, decision-making behavior, not just demographics. So if you're just zeroing in on okay, I know that people love us in Lakewood and, we're really targeting millennial mom in Lakewood. That's great, but what's the data to actually support that? That's what we want to kind of get to that stage where we're developing out. These are real examples that we've done for a client that was in they were in the allergy and sort of consumer space in terms of, trying to get into Walgreens and CVS. They were a Navage competitor. So we developed three key personas for them. It was Allergy Alex, and these are all the, kind of the channels he engaged on. These are the brands that he engaged with, Then we had Suffering Sally, the channels again, and the brands that she aligned with. And, we talked about some of her goals, her quote that she might have, motivations, frustrations. And then Millennial Molly. This is really where they wanted to focus because they felt like they could break away from acute sufferers and really go towards that more wellness brand audience. So that's really where they wanted to take the brand. So we developed out this, sort of persona based on that. As it turns out, as we started the marketing and really got it out there and talked to people, these two were really where they should more focus. It's really hard to kind of say that here's my Northern Star, persona and it kind of not pan out. But that's why you want these other two to kind of support everything that you're doing, the investments you're making, and then you can quickly pivot your strategy to more of a foundational persona if your Northern Star isn't necessarily panning out. Um, so we use a tool called UX Pressia. I can give this in the show notes, but that helps you really easily develop these out. You could do it on AI, but this tool was built specifically to develop personas, so I recommend it. I really like what they do over there. So I told you that we would talk about the digital shelf. So I really want to kind of dig into the digital shelf, and I'd like some comments along the way too. This book that I wrote, Garage Branders, that you're all going to go purchase and leave a 5-star review on Amazon, is about a lot of it is about the digital shelf. So, what is the digital shelf? It's the online equivalent of a physical retail shelf, basically. It's every place a customer encounters, evaluates, and decides whether to purchase your product online. Today, the digital shelf extends far beyond Amazon or your website. It includes marketplaces, retailer websites, search engines, social commerce, and AI-powered shopping experiences. So, I want you to take a step back from your brand and, have you guys done this work? I'm kind of curious to see if anyone has gone through this. Maybe you are working with an Amazon agency or, you hired a marketing team or even your internal people have done this for you. I'm just kind of want to gauge if this work has been done for you guys yet. If anyone could maybe answer that. No? Okay. Moving on. Okay, so let's talk about what is the digital shelf. It's visibility, product content, product data, pricing and promotions, availability, and then social proof. So why the digital shelf matters. It increases discoverability, improves click-through rates, increases conversion rates, builds trust with shoppers, reduces abandoned purchases, abandoned carts, strengthens marketplace and retailer performance, improves advertising efficiency by converting more traffic. And it also helps with social, I would say. So if you've got, and I've seen people do this, I've seen brands go out and, oh, we want to be everywhere. We want to be on Google Ads. We want influencers. We want to be on TikTok Shop. And then you go and the product content is subpar. You can't really tell. It doesn't have all the right information. What's the size? What's the color? What's the material? It's really hard to understand what the value proposition. So we want to take a step back, get super granular on your product data and optimize it. That's one of the first steps we'll do with the new brand that we work with. So this is an example of Rebel ice cream. It's out there. This is an Amazon listing. Very, very basic. So just like two photos and nutritions. And then you got like a very basic title, and then no description really to speak of. So really not enough information. I mean, unless you've run into this at retail, maybe you purchased it at retail. But if you've never heard of this brand, it's not going to be one that you select when you compare it to like a Double Rainbow ice cream, which is one of our clients. We've got optimized titles, bullets and descriptions, better images and videos, enhanced descriptions, nutritional information and labeling, very clear, We've got bundles that we have here. The description has a lot of detail, even though you're limited to 75 characters. We've got like diet type, vegan. We've got things here that help people make that purchase decision. I like to call it melt in your mouth content. So let's talk about what's in the box. Let's talk about the delivery experience or find me at retail. Don't forget A plus and product metadata because Amazon and Instacart and all of the retail websites offer enhance product content. So you can have your design team, your marketing team, or your agency actually develop out enhanced product experiences. So it's not just a product listing anymore. It's not just picture, description, price. It's a whole experience which really helps drive sales. I've seen immediate lift in sales from brands that come in the door without having this, and then on the other side after we've done this full optimization. And this is the sexy stuff. This is the consumer facing, front facing stuff. But there's a lot of work on the back end too when it comes to going through this exercise because we do a lot with the digital shelf in terms of incorporating keyword strategies, research keywords tailored to their industry, integrating keywords naturally into product content to improve discoverability. That's a whole sort of exercise in terms of what are the keywords? What are your competitors using? That analysis is key to success when it comes to the digital shelf. At the end of the day, it comes down to product visibility. It really directly impacts search rankings, conversions, and sales. It really will work if you go through this exercise to make sure that your product content is optimized, not just on Amazon, not just on your website, but everywhere it's present. You want to get as much juice from the squeeze of going through this exercise, get it out there in as many places as you possibly can.
Hey, Brandy, I have a
Yeah.
question here from an Alyssa Young. She
Okay.
wanted to know a little bit more about I'm assuming the customer persona. She writes, what was that persona thing program?
Oh, it's UXPressia. UX Pressia. Not a very well-known tool, but we discovered it years ago and we love it. Okay, so back to this. Optimizing the digital shelf of each channel. This is key. Website, marketplaces, social shops, retail online, retail stores, paid media channels. So retail stores, we do a lot of work in terms of activating things at retail. So whether that's flavor tags or, shelf talkers or even like shipper box design, we have done a lot of that work too. And again, it syncs up with the same messaging, the same image, the same branding that we're activating on digital channels as well. Okay, so we talked about personas, we talked about the digital shelf. These two philosophies really go hand in hand because I started with personas because you really want to understand who you're talking to because as you develop out your brand execution for the digital shelf, you're talking to those people. You have those people in mind when you're framing up your copy and your look and your feel, your vibe that you're going for, you're talking to those people. It's a conversation. I want you to think about it as a conversation because people can't pick up your product. They can't, smell it, hold it, taste it when they're shopping online. So you've got to do even more than you would do at the retail level to counteract that and to really compete against your competitors who are also doing this with their brand. At the end of the day, though, a good brand, a good product, um, is, you do all of this work and you have a good product, that's where the magic happens. We can do all of this work and you can spend a lot of money, and if your product isn't proven yet, or you've got some issues to work out there first, then all of this is kind of in will be in support of you discovering that you got to do some work on your product, if that makes sense. But if you've got a good product, this is all just sort of the Hollywood magic that takes it to the next level. Okay, let's talk about channels. I'm going to start with the e-commerce flywheel. You may have heard this reference before. It's used in Amazon circles a lot. So the e-commerce flywheel is a growth model where every part of your commerce strategy reinforces the next, creating momentum over time. So instead of thinking about e-commerce as a funnel that ends with a purchase, the flywheel focuses on turning every customer into a repeat customer and a brand advocate. So we start with the top of the funnel, which is drive discovery. So attract the right people to your brand across multiple channels and, SEO, paid media, social, retail media, email, all of that. Then two is convert. So turn visitors into customers with a seamless shopping experience. So optimize product pages like we were just talking about, strong imagery, reviews, social proof, competitive pricing, fast site performance, easy checkout. Then we go to three. So deliver an exceptional experience. Now, you all in the e-commerce world know shipping is a big deal, right? You're going to get in a lot of conversations about pick, pack, and ship. Um, I can't stress this enough in terms of having a really good delivery experience because it's becomes an Instagrammable experience if executed properly. So we work with, like I mentioned, Double Rainbow Ice Cream. They've been a client of ours for like 5 years. And they have this amazing shipper box. You can order their ice cream. It comes fresh and frozen, delivered on dry ice in this beautiful branded box. They're out of the Bay Area, they're out of San Francisco, and it's branded to San Francisco. It's just adorable. People love it. It's very giftable. And so that delivery experience has been well thought through and executed in a way that, kind of takes it from just a cardboard box to an experience. So then retain, that's sort of the next level is, you can get a lot of one-off orders, great, but are they coming back? That's really a testament to your brand and the work you've done to kind of take it to the next level. So retaining those customers, increase customer lifetime value through ongoing engagement, email marketing, loyalty programs. We love the loyalty programs. We love the birthday clubs, personalized recommendations, product education, community building. Double Rainbow Ice Cream, even though we're based here in Ohio, we just did a brand activation for them at the Oakland Soul, which is the women's soccer team out there, and the World Cup's going on out there. So we did on Father's Day, we had a brand activation where we had a tent, we had a booth, we had their product in the concession stand, and we were giving away tattoos, we were giving away discounts on product. We had all sorts of fun things, and we executed that from here. And we got a lot of good like social media from it too. So, we're doing things like that, all over the country. So that's all part of the brand building. And it's part of that touch point that really takes a brand from just a commodity to something that, more builds a community. So create advocacy. So happy customers become your most effective marketers. So, reviews and ratings, user-generated content, referrals, affiliate programs, social sharing, creator partnerships. So one thing that came out of that brand activation that we did at the Oakland Soul a few weeks ago was, sure enough, we saw through the website, somebody had reached out to say, "Oh, I wish Double Rainbow was sold in this, retail store, grocery store in their part of where they lived in Northern California." So it worked in terms of like people signing up right there at the brand activation, but also that pull through. So now their sales team can be activated to say, "Hey, we had somebody recommend that they would like to buy the product here. Let's talk." So generate more discovery along the way. So advocates attract new customers, feeding the flywheel and reducing attribution cost. And then it all goes back to driving discovery. So the e-commerce flywheel really is a self-reinforcing cycle that drives growth and builds strong customer relationships. So that's going to be key, and I'm going to reference that again. But as we talk about this, I want you to start to think about your brand through the lens of this flywheel. So let's talk about channels. I know you all have questions about all these channels and where should your brand be? Where should you start? Where should you expand? So I'm going to hopefully try to answer some of those questions along the way. I've been doing Amazon since 2016. We've been an Amazon agency since 2016. And back when we started doing it, there weren't Amazon agencies everywhere, but it was very specialized, and we learned from growing brands here in the United States, but also in Europe. We started to really do a lot of work over there. Just there weren't as many Amazon agencies out there, so it became, became well known for that. I've seen it all with Amazon. We have a good relationship with them. We're doing the same thing that we did, in 2016 with Amazon. We're doing that on TikTok now. TikTok Shop is trying to become Amazon. So they have their own fulfillment. They were recently acquired by, well, loosely, by a US entity. Larry Ellison and his group now own and manage TikTok US. It's changed a little bit, but it's still foundationally um, you know, we'll see what happens. But TikTok Shop is becoming, Amazon, and people are shopping it. It's seamless. If you've never bought something on TikTok Shop, it's just as seamless as Amazon is. It's a different type of flow, but it more sort of disrupts you, and it's more kind of an impulse purchase. But I really like what we can do for brands on TikTok Shop. Let's talk about other marketplaces. Let's talk about retail, but and some emerging channels too. So foundationally, like we talked about originally, is your website. So again, Shopify, WooCommerce are our preferred carts to develop on. But let's talk about that hub and spoke commerce strategy. So I recently had a client that we did not develop their website, but they developed their website with the intent that everybody was going to come to their website. That was really their goal. So it was more like the hub was the website and everything else was a spoke. But, the realities of a hub and spoke commerce strategy are that marketplace customers often remain loyal to Amazon or Walmart rather than your website. That's just the reality. That's why you need to be distributed. So the goal is to really maximize the value of those customers while building your own audience where possible. So each channel serves a different purpose. Amazon excels at high intent purchasing. TikTok Shop drives impulse buys. Retail builds brand awareness. And your website is where you deepen relationships and increase lifetime value. That's really your brand, is your website. So I don't want you thinking, oh, I launched this new website. Why aren't I making millions of dollars on it when you're not even on Amazon? I had another client that took that approach, and I was begging them to go to Amazon because it's two different types of audience. The people coming to your website are not going to be the same people who are just searching for something fast on Amazon. There's no reason your brand shouldn't be there. I know some of you hate Amazon, and I hear that a lot too. Like, oh, Amazon's the devil. Well, it is the devil, but you can still play in their sandbox if you really want to kind of grow your brand. So some marketplace customers will never migrate. That's okay. Measure the profitability of each channel instead of trying to force every customer onto your website. Operations become more complex. Selling across multiple channels requires synchronization in terms of inventory, pricing, product data, fulfillment, customer service, and analytics. And that's where some of that back end technology and those different platforms that we can all stitch together to kind of make this more seamless, that's where this matters. Because I do feel like your website should be optimized. You should be doing sales on your website, and it should not be an afterthought, developed by your cousin, your second cousin. It should be well thought out. It should be branded, and it should be functional, and also a place to grow your brand. It can be a hub and spoke, but I just want you thinking about it in the right way, instead of banging your head against the wall. Why aren't Amazon shoppers shopping on my website? Platforms like Amazon restrict how you communicate with customers, making first-party data collection more challenging. So really, at the end of the day, a successful omni-channel strategy depends on reliable integrations between your e-commerce platform, ERP, PIM, CRM, inventory management, and marketing systems. The goal isn't to make your website the only place customers buy. The goal is to make your website the operational and data hub of your business while allowing each sales channel to do what it does best. Because the best omnichannel brands don't compete with marketplaces, they orchestrate them. So this is key. This graphic here. Your website is the hub, the engine, the source of truth. If you've got this ecosystem built, this is how it could work, especially for smaller brands. When you get to the enterprise brand level, it's a different ball game. But I'm imagining most people on this call are more sort of on the SMB side. So, you can your website own the customer relationship, that first party data that you control, higher profit margins, centralized operations, and then you can power your entire business. From there, you can do your TikTok shop. So we can sync like a Shopify or WooCommerce catalog with TikTok shop. And so there's a bidirectional data flow between all of these, if you want to get to that level. TikTok Shop is great. You can engage, inspire, and convert where customers already spend time. Retail and wholesale, expand into physical retail, wholesale partnerships. We love Fair. We've got a lot of clients selling through Fair. Live shopping, we're going to really talk about that in a little bit. Real-time engagement that drives excitement and immediate purchases. We can run live shopping on your website. We can run it on TikTok. We can run it on Amazon. We can even run it on whatnot. Email and SMS, again, that comes from your website. And then search and shopping on Google. So capture shoppers actively searching for products like yours. Walmart is great. It's a good supplement to Amazon. I don't think Walmart's ever going to kind of necessarily beat Amazon. It depends on your category, but I like Walmart to be a nice supplement to an Amazon infrastructure. And then certainly the elephant in the room is Amazon. Love them or hate them, that's where people buy. That's where people have all of their, if you're a Prime member, it's 2 clicks and you're good. I know you all have an Amazon package probably on your porch right now. So pro tips, marketplaces aren't a race to the bottom either. And I can't stress that enough. You can charge a premium on Amazon and Walmart and offer more favorable pricing on your own website. People often think, oh, I got to be the cheapest on Amazon to win. Well, not necessarily, because Amazon, your typical Amazon shopper, especially a Prime member, they're there for convenience. Sometimes they pay more for the same product. They can shop elsewhere for the convenience. So I always say, charge more on Amazon than you do on other channels or even your own website because you're not even pay their fees. So start small and scale as you see results. Start with one main channel as you get established. Keep your budget aligned with your broader marketing goals and review weekly to optimize your spend. So if you are, running Google ads, or if you're running TikTok shop ads, kind of be on top of that data, almost daily to really see what's working. So, what to consider before expanding into marketplaces like Amazon and Walmart? You really kind of want to validate your product market fit. That's what I was talking about, where you can spend all the money in the world. I once had this brand. We worked with this angel group, angel investing group they were out of California, and they would bring us brands that needed help along the way. And this woman, she had it was like a protein bar, but it came in like a almost like a loaf of bread. And her whole concept was that you're going to get this like mini loaf of bread and eat it on the plane. And it's portable and it just didn't look good. And ultimately I said to the angel group, I said, I don't think they're going to be successful. I don't think that I don't think we should take them on as a client because I really feel like her product is not great. I don't think we can make it great. So that product market fit, you're all beyond that stage, but I'm just telling you my war stories along the way. Um, so ensure your products have proven demand and healthy margins before expanding. Understand the true costs. Factor in referral fees, fulfillment fees, storage fees, advertising, returns, and promotions, not just the selling price. Evaluate your competitive landscape. Research pricing, reviews, search rankings, and the strengths of existing competitors. So protect your brand. This is another thing that if you're not on Amazon yet, or maybe you've dipped your toe, they do have a whole a group called the Amazon Brand Registry, which is really important and it's foundational to success on Amazon. If you do have your trademark, register your trademark and enroll in brand registry because you can safeguard your listings and your intellectual property on Amazon. Optimize your product content. We already talked about that. But the high quality images, SEO driven titles, bullet points, A+ content, and videos are essential for conversion. And then develop an inventory strategy. So maintain adequate stock levels to avoid losing buy box eligibility or search rankings due to stockouts. TikTok's the same way now. They want you to, once you get an order, it needs to go out the door. And that really helps you maintain a level of optimization in their algorithm too. So they're calculating all of that. So, plan your advertising investment too. Organic visibility takes time. It really does take time. Budget for sponsored products, sponsor brands, and other marketplace advertising. Prepare your operations. Ensure inventory, pricing, shipping, and order management systems integrate seamlessly with your whole e-commerce ecosystem. That's another factor in this is not just kind of like flipping on your Amazon account and you're off to the races. You need an advertising budget to compete. They make it so, the brands that advertise are going to be the brands that are successful. Jeff Bezos needs to pay for his rocket ship and his yacht. He's not going to let you just kind of flip the switch on Amazon and start making sales. So have that budget in mind. The beauty of it though is if you are successful and if you're scaling at an appropriate level in terms of some of the key metrics on Amazon are ACoS, TACoS, ROAS. It can be a profit center. I have clients where, they make their entire year Q4 on Amazon. They make multiple millions in those first handful of weeks of November and December. Um, so it does work. And I don't want you to feel like, oh, I'm just going to be burning money by even going to Amazon. It's all about having the right strategy and the right team in place that knows what they're doing. I describe it as pulling 1,000 different levers the right way to find success on Amazon, but that doesn't mean that it can't happen for you. It can. You see brands out there all the time that are successful. So again, plan your advertising investment. Organic visibility does take time. Prepare your operations. Brands that succeed treat Amazon as a strategic business channel, not simply another place to list products. And that's why we maintain at our core, we do help people with Amazon because it can be foundational to an e-commerce company. So before I get into the creator economy, any questions about Amazon, Walmart, any other channel that is on your mind? No, no one has a question? Okay. So let's talk about the creator economy. The creator economy is the ecosystem of individuals who build audiences online and monetize their influence by creating content, promoting products, educating, entertaining, or building communities. So creators have become the new media channels. Instead of brands relying solely on traditional advertising, they partner with creators who have earned the trust of highly engaged audiences. So, how many of you have worked with influencers? Has anyone has anyone worked with influencers? Everyone I feel like has an influencer horror story.
I have never worked with an influencer. However, I love watching influencer videos of them visiting like Disney theme parks. That's always fun to me to do. Like,
Yeah, I mean everybody has their thing. I also teach a social media for business class, and that's a 3-day seminar. And what's interesting to me is I will start the conversation by asking. I give everybody homework, and I give the guys homework. I give the girls homework, and I say I want to know who you follow. Who are your influencers that you follow? and they'll go back and they'll think about it. And, it's just a lot of business people. It's not like kids or anything. And they all come back and it's a trend that I've noticed. It's the guys. I'll start, going around the room and a guy will say, I follow sports and or I follow cooking or cars. It's categories that the guys think about. But then you talk to the women and it's oh, I follow this woman in North Carolina who makes pottery and has goats and very specific types of influencers that they follow. And it always cracks me up because it's happened every time and they're not the same people. It's always different people, but so yeah, just think about like when it comes to your brand, who would be good creators for you? Not everybody has to be an influencer. They could be a micro influencer. A lot of times you get more bang for your buck with working with someone with just maybe, 10,000 followers versus, 500,000 followers. But again, it all is all going to come back to your personas, and what is meaningful to your core customers. Um, So here's kind of a step-by-step guide to crafting an effective strategy when it comes to the creator economy. You definitely want to optimize your social profiles, develop a content strategy, partner with creators and affiliates, simplify the buying journey, leverage social proof, run targeted ads, boost community engagement, monitor and optimize. So, I think when you think about affiliates, that has also become maybe confusing to people. Like, what's an affiliate versus a creator versus a micro influencer versus an influencer? They're all kind of the same. They're all kind of the same in terms of the goal, which is to partner with them so they create content about your brand. They may have different motivations. An influencer wants to be paid, right? They truly want to kind of, maybe they have like an influencer agency that they work with. And we worked with all types. So we work with, influencers that want to be paid like $10,000 just to do a post, to affiliates that we find on TikTok, and they're willing to do it just for a pre-product and in exchange for a percentage of sales. And then we've worked with creators too, and there's somewhere between those, I would say, where we pay them a little bit, but they also make that affiliate commission. They make money through Spark codes on TikTok Shop. So there's all different sorts of ways to do this. But at the end of the day, especially on TikTok, it's signaling that creators are willing to work with you as a brand. It signals to the algorithm that your brand is worth paying attention to, but it also signals to other influencers and creators that, oh, your brand is worth paying attention to. Because at the end of the day, a lot of those affiliates, they make their money by helping you sell, so they get a commission on sales. So it can be quite cost effective and a good way to get you out of your cold start phase on TikTok Shop. TikTok Shop is, it takes a while to crack the code on it. It's not like Meta. People think it's just like Meta. It's not. It's not like Facebook and Instagram. It works completely differently. It's better to, on Instagram and Facebook, you're incentivized to make your own content. On TikTok, you're incentivized to have other people make content on your behalf. You're more incentivized to have affiliates and creators talking about your brand than you are just posting, sort of your own kind of TikToks. That can be a part of it, but what is the nuance here is that you as a brand can become a creator on TikTok. So, you've seen like, oh, this bakery, they've got 1 million followers. It's because they're posting TikToks every day. They've become their own creator. The brand has become creators. So that's a message that we have out there right now, which is we help brands become creators. Um, and when it comes to TikTok Shop, that's really the magic of it, is being, sort of providing that type of content. Um, we are TikTok Shop partners. We've been doing that for a couple years now. Like I said, I view it as the next Amazon. You want to meet your customers where they already spend their time. Social platforms have become discovery engines, not just entertainment channels. It shortens the path from discovery to purchase. Customers can watch, engage, and buy without leaving the app. and you can turn content into commerce. Every video, live stream, and creator partnership becomes a potential sales opportunity. In my opinion, TikTok is the new QVC. It's shoppable shopping content. Not everything on TikTok is shoppable content, but a lot of it is. And that they're really pushing to be, like I said, the next Amazon. So, how social commerce and platforms like TikTok Shop fit into your strategy? So, the creator economy is transforming how products are discovered and purchased. Instead of interrupting consumers with ads, brands collaborate with trusted creators who inspire buying decisions through authentic content, community, and commerce. Creator-driven recommendations consistently outperform traditional brand ads on engagement and trust. When you partner with influencers, you collaborate with influencers who align with your brand. Like I said, micro influencers for niche and highly engaged audiences, macro influencers for broader reach. Allow them to create authentic, engaging content that highlights your products. And affiliates will do this in exchange for a small fee and commission on product sales. So, any questions about TikTok or social commerce? It's definitely a growing space. You may be feeling overwhelmed, like, how am I going to do this? I don't have the team for this. It's also about like putting together the right strategy, having the right, priorities, having the right product too. A lot of success on e-commerce channels, especially, comes from sort of a couple different sweet spots. Um, is your product shelf stable? Is it highly shippable? Is it is it the size of a shoebox? Is it under $100? Is it under $200? There's definitely a sweet spot for a lot of what is makes a successful e-commerce brand. That's not to say that everything needs to fit in that box because we've sold things like, I worked with this international brand. They were they had a branch office in Dayton, which is how I met them. But they were sold industrial chain hoists and all of the accessories. They sell them on Amazon. So, it's not to say that everything needs to fit in a certain sort of size or, shippable weight, or be shelf stable. Certainly, we've proven that with Double Rainbow ice cream. We ship that stuff all over the country. But there definitely is somewhat of a sweet spot for e-commerce. So if you do have a brand that fits within that, you can generally find some success. So let's talk about live stream shopping. This is actually a photo of our studio. So we have a live stream shopping studio. We're going to be shooting in there tomorrow, where we bring in, you can ship your brand in, and I have people that will be the entertainers, the live shopping hosts. And they'll talk about your brand. They'll talk about like it's really the digital shelf come to life, where we talk about everything in the box. These shoppable experiences can be anywhere from 5 minutes to 2 hours. Where we've done on Whatnot, we've done like a live stream, like a 2 hour live stream. Um, Now, Whatnot's not for everybody, and I'll talk about that a little bit, but it is for certain brands, especially CPG brands, can do really well on Whatnot. It's very auction focused. So if you have a lot of inventory, you've got consistency, and you have the ability to get your product out quickly, from like a boost in sales. Whatnot could be great. We've got a good relationship with Whatnot, and they always tell us stories about how they've got lobster fishermen in Maine who are sort of live streaming, pulling lobsters out of the ocean and kind of flash freezing them and shipping them all over the country, and they sell that stuff from Whatnot. Meats and cheeses and all of that. It actually is quite successful on Whatnot. If you've never experienced it, definitely check it out. It started in the pop culture industry, so uh, many years ago, New York Comic Con, and Reed Pop, the brand behind New York Comic Con, was one of my clients, and we built them a marketplace. And so I've been to a couple Comic Cons. I'm not into that pop culture wise, but I definitely have had a lot of exposure to it. And that's where Whatnot started. So they started selling Funko Pop and pop culture items through their app, and they quickly expanded. And now they're a big player in the space of live shopping. And they're international now too, although they're based here in the States. But live shopping, I'm bullish on it. TikTok just started doing live auctions to compete with Whatnot. So there's a lot of opportunity. And I feel like it's still early days with live shopping. So if you're looking for an edge for your brand, this is a good place to start by developing a strategy around live shopping. We're about to launch a program with the Toledo Museum of Art. So they are our local art museum here. They're pretty well known, and they've got a gift shop, and they've got a whole local art section of their gift shop. And they really feel like, if people just knew about this, they would get a lot more attention and definitely sales. So we're starting a whole live shopping strategy with them. In the next few weeks, we're launching this, and we're going to be bringing down product from the shop, and kind of live streaming to TikTok and Instagram, and also doing shoppable content at their retail store. So I love what retailers could be doing with live shopping too. I feel like that gives them an edge that they may not have even, it might not be on their radar in terms of what's possible with live shopping. So, it's entertainment, it's community, it's influencer marketing, it's instant purchasing. So all of this into one experience that shoppers and browsers love to consume. So, I love it. If you haven't thought about it, or if you have more questions about it, kind of let me know, and let's talk about it. Um, so does anyone have any questions about that?
I do see that there is a question here for Tamara. Let me
Great.
read. Let me read it out loud for everyone. It says, "We aren't active on TikTok like we are on other social channels. Do you ever see food brands on there? We are a chocolate shop."
Yes, chocolate would be great on TikTok. Yes, for sure. So definitely set up a TikTok handle. Now, I could do a whole session on TikTok. TikTok is a little confusing if you haven't set your account up yet. It's basically a series of portals. I describe it like a mystery fun house where you go in and you think you're going in the right door, and you open it and it's a door to nowhere. It can be very confusing, but the way that it works the best is when you do set up your account, make sure that the same email is the admin across your TikTok handle, your TikTok business center, your TikTok ad portal, and your TikTok shop, because you're going to have to connect them all yourself. So it is not like a Meta Business Center where it makes it super easy to just do that. It's plug and play over on Meta. TikTok, there's 1,000 levers to pull to make sure it's all synced up in the right way. And a lot of people can learn that the hard way. But we're here to help should you need any help with that. But yeah, chocolate would be great because it's so visual. It's a visual medium, and visual and video and TikTok, that's where the magic happens. So if you have the ability to sort of do even live shopping from your retail location, or if you have the ability to kind of pick, pack, and ship all over the country, TikTok's your place for sure. Um, and the For You page is what's magical about TikTok. So people don't, we've been trained through Facebook and Instagram that you got to follow a brand. And certainly that's evolved over the years, but you don't have to follow anything on TikTok. It finds you. So that's the magic of their algorithm. It sort of senses what you might like and raises that to your For You page. So when you load TikTok, you're just flipping through different videos, and it starts to understand what you are attracted to, what you like to watch, and the algorithm then does its job by, having people in Cleveland that like chocolate see your content that are on TikTok. So that For You page is really the secret sauce of TikTok. And then the TikTok shop. So you're creating content. Why wouldn't you have a shop, in my opinion? So setting up the shop is, it's no sim it's similar to like setting up an Amazon shop where you've got your product listings, you've got your optimization, you've got your, you got to have the right photos and all of that, and the keywords. But that's where kind of going back to where I was showing you the visual of how all of these are interconnected. So if you've got a Shopify, if you've got a WooCommerce, you can share a catalog between other channels. So you don't have to have a catalog here, a catalog here. Well, how am I going to keep track of all of that? It can all be interconnected. And I think that's why we like WooCommerce and Shopify, because it does make that integration a lot easier to manage and to build. So again, you can use your website as the source of truth for Amazon, TikTok Shop, and beyond. The same digital shelf rules do apply to TikTok. Kind of ensure your links, ensure links to product pages are functional and mobile optimized. Offer seamless customer support through DMs and chatbots. You can use your main website as the source of truth, like I was saying. And that catalog, again, you can share imagery, you can share inventory, you can share product descriptions. Any other questions about TikTok Shop? I'm not a TikTok, like I didn't start my work with TikTok because I was a TikTok person. I started it because I saw that's where the market's going. Um, so, you don't have to be a TikTok person when you think about your brand, to really take advantage of the people that are on TikTok. So align with your overall e-commerce strategy. So ensure social commerce efforts complement your retail website, mobile app, and other sales channels. Sync inventory across all platforms to prevent overselling or stockouts. I don't know if anyone's ever experienced the stock out, but that can be pretty painful, especially on Amazon. Um, but all of these platforms have their own algorithm and they're evaluating how frequently are you purchased? How frequently are you in stock slash out of stock? What's the return rate? What's the reorder rate? So all of these data points are in the algorithm, and that's how your brand is evaluated on all of these channels. And that can really help dictate in your favor, success, or if you're not successful, is all of that operational back end. So pro tips when it comes to thinking about like a TikTok or a Meta, or anything related to being on socials. Post frequently. Frequently matters more than perfection. I say this all the time to my clients who are new to this game. They want everything to be perfect, pixel perfect, the right message, all of it. Frequency matters more than perfection. Build a predictable cadence with your audience that your audience can rely on, especially related to live shopping. Prioritize short form video, Reels, TikToks, Shorts, LinkedIn clips. Continue to get the strongest organic reach. Hook people immediately. So the first 1 to 3 seconds or first line determine whether someone keeps watching or scrolling. Create platform native content. Don't just repost the same asset everywhere without adapting it. So, when it comes to you thinking about like just creating content to promote your store, there's lots of different, sort of, reasons to think about one of three things. Either be educational, entertaining, inspirational, or solve a problem before trying to sell. So, those are the core things that make your content successful. And you see a lot of those same patterns in when you pull up your social media. It's the woman talking very straightforward and quick clips about like solving a problem or did you know or hey guys, blah, blah, blah. So that's formulaic, but it's that way because that's what works. And the algorithm knows that, and the content creators know what's working. So show real people and personality, founder stories, behind the scenes content, employees, customers, and authentic moments that outperform overly polished content. The days of like having to have this like, super produced type of content, especially younger people, that's just like nails on a chalkboard to them. They're just going to blow by it. So don't worry about, kind of having like, a commercial style piece of content go out on TikTok. That's not what people are looking for. That's not what they expect, and it's definitely not what they want. But think about it in terms of content pillars. So rotate between categories like education, culture, product, industry insights, testimonials, and trends. Engage daily if you have the bandwidth. Reply to comments, answer DMs, interact with other creators and brands in your space. Um, so does anyone have any sort of questions again about social and how to create content that really helps kind of move your brand. So some of the pro tips that I have, use strong calls to action, ask questions, encourage comments, saves and shares, and conversations. Optimize for shares and saves. These signals often matter more than likes or reach. Leverage trends strategically. So use trending audio formats and conversations while keeping them relevant to your brand. Repurpose winning content. Again, getting as much juice for the squeeze. Turn one idea into multiple posts, clips, carousels, blogs, and emails. Collaborate with others. I love the collaborator type of content where you can partner with maybe a complementary brand, maybe a complementary creator, maybe an influencer in your space. So like the chocolate shop, you could partner with a chef to do like a recipe with your product. You could partner with any sort of like a school to do something unique with what you could do with chocolate. I mean, that just seems kind of endless to me in terms of what you could create. And we did that with again the brand that we work with, Double Rainbow Ice Cream. So we did another collaboration with cannoli chips. So I had someone on my team went out and she made a list of 15 different brands that would be good with ice cream that were unexpected. So we did cannoli chips. We found them, they were out of Boston, and we did a brand collaboration. So we sent them some ice cream. They sent us the cannoli chips and we made a video and we tagged them. And it also gave us, because we were kind of complementary brands, not competitors, it gave us the ability to tap into their channel and their followers. And it gave them, likewise, the ability to tap into our followers and our audience. So that's a great, easy way to do content that people will pay attention to. And it's also fairly cost effective because, obviously we're not paying them like an influencer. They're not an influencer. They're just another small brand that's kind of emerging. So, it was a win for both of us. So if you have interns, or if you have an agency, if you have a marketer, start to look for these wins where you can do like, collaborations. So when you think about live shopping, the top live shopping channels for brands selling products in the US, ranked by opportunity, again, TikTok Shop Live, Amazon Live, Whatnot, Instagram Live, YouTube, and then Facebook. Facebook's kind of, in my mind, probably not worth it. It's not really, it's the OG of social networks. People aren't there to necessarily shop. It's not really going to be worth your time or money to try to do live shopping on Facebook. TikTok, 100%, Amazon for sure. If you've got a good Amazon, if your Amazon business is rocking, there's no reason why you wouldn't want to do a live. Um, TikTok Shop, again, it's an emerging channel. It's newer. People are afraid of it. I get it. We're here to help. If you really want to go down that street, we can help, and we know what works. And we know, the types of brands that work well within TikTok. Whatnot, again, is a little bit of a wild card, but for some brands, the first time, so we work with a sausage and cheese brand, a charcuterie brand out of Chicago. And, it took me about 6 months to convince them to go live on Whatnot out of their warehouse space. They're in the Chicago suburbs. And, they got this like super raw looking, warehouse space where they just do their fulfillment. And they set up their trade show banner behind them. They just had a butcher block table. They got just a bunch of their products, put it out there. We went live. He was live for 2 hours and he sold $3,000 of product. And so he's only been doing it for like 6 weeks now. I think they've got like 5,000 followers on Whatnot. They've reached that 20,000 sale, over 20,000 in sales on Whatnot, and they now work directly with Whatnot because they're such a growing brand on Whatnot that they've got like their own rep inside of Whatnot. And that happened literally within 6 weeks. So it was awesome to see that kind of take shape. Now it takes them time to do this. We're not doing this for them; they're doing it on their own. Where they're going live now from their warehouse on a regular basis. They've got 3 live shows a week. Um, and again, it is a show. I want you to think about this like QVC. It's QVC, repackaged, repurposed for a younger audience from their phone. That's what it is. And the magic of QVC and Home Shopping Club and all of that, Home Shopping Network, has now just been repurposed. And it is what the live shopping is of today. And here's another thing that I want to mention with it. It's because people can ask questions. Like we're live right now. You can ask me a question, I'm responding. There's a certain level of humanity with it. People want to feel like, oh, I'm not just dealing with an AI, or I'm not just dealing with, this kind of repackaged video. Like I'm a real person. Ask me a question. Do that with your brand. And that is magical because people just immediately would feel a connection to you and your brand. And that's why I love it in the age of AI, when everyone's like, you know, pushing AI down our throats. It's like, well, time out because, that only gets you so far. We're all human, and in our reptilian brain, we respond better still to this day in the age of AI to other humans. So, pro tips: consistency beats perfection. A weekly live stream builds audience habits and trust better than occasional polished productions. Use creators and subject matter experts. Authentic personalities often outperform scripted brand presentations. Bundle complementary products. So, this is a cool thing that you can do with your brand too, is have, exclusive drops, exclusive bundles on TikTok or whatever it is. You can bundle complementary products, increase average order value by demonstrating products that naturally go together. In our studio, we've got a front-facing camera and we've got a camera overhead because we can talk to the camera, but the camera above us can also show whatever we're demonstrating. So, really think like a TV producer. Plan a show with an opening, demonstrations, guest segments, Q&A, giveaways, and a strong closing. Broadcast everywhere possible. Simulcast or repurpose the same live content across channels. That is really what makes you more of an omnichannel brand. All right, any questions about that? Because now I'm going to get into AI. I feel like you got to talk about AI in the age of AI, right?
I see a question here that I missed a little bit earlier
Okay.
from a Richie Hayward. They write, "How do you get contact? How do you get in contact with creators, macro or micro?"
Great question. And there is no easy button for it, but there are a lot of platforms that you can tap into to work with affiliates. and creators, especially if you're just starting out. There's something called Join Brands that we've used. There's Collabster, and then also TikTok. In TikTok Shop, they have their own affiliate center right there. So those are the three that we use. You can also use just kind of DM people in your, like if you're in a particular industry or a category, and you want to work with someone that may be well known in that category for talking about whatever it is that whatever it is your brand does, you can DM them too. Um, but generally, to get out of that cold start phase, we call it on TikTok, is using a platform like Join Brands where you can easily sign up to get 10 creator videos. And also, I will say, another advantage of that is that they are coming to your store, they're making a purchase, and it doesn't count against you like it does on Amazon. So immediately you've got 10 purchases, you've got, part of your creative brief should say, leave me a 5-star review. You got 10 5-star reviews, 10 new videos of creators talking about your brand. Again, the magic of TikTok isn't you pushing content necessarily. It's also other people creating content about your brand. So that's why we like a Join Brands or Collabster. Collabsters can be a little dicey, it's not as well defined as Join Brands, but Join Brands is a good place to start. And you don't have to have a subscription. You can just do a one-off campaign. Any other questions? You guys must have lots of questions about TikTok Shop. It took us a long time to figure out like exactly where a brand would fit in well with a TikTok shop. Because it's still a little bit of the Wild West, and they're always developing new, products and promotions. Like they just did Deals for You Days, which was directly competing with Amazon Prime Days. So, they are evolving. They're very aggressive. They've got a whole team that's just dedicated to supporting TikTok Shop partners like us. Um, so yeah, I mean, we work mainly with brands. We don't represent creators, we represent the brands. But we are doing a creator advertising service. So, say you hire a creator and you need us to help boost that creator. That's something that we offer as a service now, too, because that can also be one of the areas where brands struggle is, kind of going out and hoping for the best with influencers and maybe not getting the reach that they were looking for. We can come in and cost effectively help you boost that and turn it into more of an ad that would not only just go on TikTok but can go across channels too. We did a campaign in over the holidays. I'm sure a lot of you, if you're a consumer brand, you're starting to think now about like Q4 and the holiday. We did a really, really cool campaign last year for one of our brands where we hired a well-known influencer in this particular charcuterie space. And we hired her to create like this massive charcuterie board. And she created a video like you would see on TikTok or anywhere else. But then we took that video and we actually syndicated that on the streaming channels. So Hulu and it was across channels, and we ran it almost like a DSP, which is like display ad, where her video appeared, multiple places, but it still looked like a piece of content that you'd see on like TikTok or Instagram, but it went well beyond just kind of the confines of social media. That was a great campaign. That's one of the things that I want to do again this year for one of the brands that we work with, is to see if we can really push the needle on doing more of that, like influencer content as an ad unit. Um, any other questions about that? All right, let's dip our toe in AI. I'm not gonna drag you guys through the AI thing, but I do want to kind of mention it in a way that I think is appropriate for this conversation. The way that we're looking at AI, it is a competitive advantage, not just a productivity tool. It makes personalization possible at scale, helps optimize the entire customer journey. It's changing how consumers discover products, that's for sure. AI accelerates content creation, improves advertising efficiency, and is becoming embedded in every commerce platform. When the AI bros first started talking about AI, I've been around the block. So I've seen these trends come and go. Not saying AI is a trend, but what I knew out of the gate was it's going to be like HTML. Like you're not going to be like the HTML expert. It's everywhere. That's how AI is going to be. It's maybe not quite there yet, but it's going to be in everything. It's in all software. It's in all platforms. It's in all channels. It's not going anywhere. It's just going to be baked in. So that's why, it's important to understand it, um, because it can generate content, you know, um, but at the end of the day, human creativity still wins. AI can generate content, people create brands. AI can analyze data, people build relationships. AI can automate tasks, people make strategic decisions. The strongest brands combine AI efficiency with human creativity and expertise. That's our philosophy. That's where I see everything going. I do feel like, everybody's talking about AI is going to wipe out all these jobs. It may wipe out certain jobs for sure, but I can tell you, my designers are busier than ever. And people don't want the AI slop. It may get better over time, but we know on social too, as much as TikTok is pushing like using their AI creativity tool or their AI creation tool, it doesn't it's not what people respond to. So, again, there still is no easy button for success when it comes to this stuff. You still need to use the right tools, but also the right strategy. So let's talk about SEO, AEO, and GEO. You guys may have heard a lot about this. So the ways consumers discover products has evolved beyond traditional search engines. So today, shoppers use Google, Amazon, TikTok, ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, AI-powered shopping assistants to research and compare products. To succeed in omnichannel commerce, brands need a strategy that helps them get found in search results, answer customer questions, and become trusted recommendations in AI-generated responses. So, you may have heard a lot about these three things. I'm going to go through them from a high level, just so you can understand how that fits in with your strategy. So SEO, everybody knows that, improves your visibility in traditional search engines like Google and Bing by optimizing keywords, website content, product pages, technical performance, and structured data. For years and years and years, SEO was a cottage industry itself. There was SEO agencies, SEO, evangelists, SEO gurus, all of it. But now that has changed. Now we're talking about answer engine optimization, which really focuses on creating authoritative, well-structured content that directly answers customer questions, increasing the likelihood that AI assistants and search engines surface your brand as the answer. A lot of what we're doing here is on the website side, so the website development side. When we're designing pages, especially for a catalog type of site, we're also thinking about like things like FAQ schema and baking in like a query, like a search query as a question. And when it comes to FAQs, like the answer that you want to be found for, should that query ever happen in like a chat GPT. So that's kind of in the weeds, but that's one way that we're dealing with answer engine optimization on the in a website build. The other thing is generative engine optimization, which ensures AI platforms understand and confidently recommend your brand by maintaining consistent product data, strong digital shelf content, going back to that, reviews, brand authority, and a presence across multiple trusted sources. So together, SEO, AEO, and GEO create a complete discovery strategy that helps consumers find, trust, and purchase your products, regardless of where they begin their shopping journey. So again, SEO, get found. ranked in the search engines. AEO, answer questions. You want to be the answer. Generative engine optimization, get recommended. So AI recommends your brand. So those are all sort of, there's some overlap certainly. But that's kind of the trend of where everything's going when you think about findability and whether that we're talking about somebody finding your website, your brand referenced on Amazon, Instacart now. We do a lot of Instacart advertising, and Instacart has a relationship with ChatGPT where if somebody's looking for a recipe, you can, as a consumer searching for a recipe, instantly shop directly through ChatGPT. You can through Instacart. ChatGPT also just announced a relationship with Square, where you can actually order takeout directly from your ChatGPT through Square. So there are things that are evolving quickly in this space. And you don't have to be a guru to really kind of just understand fundamentally where your brand should be able to plug in. And a lot of it comes down to just making good content and making good choices around, schema and structure on your website and having, fresh content out there that really speaks to what people may be searching for. All right. So any questions about SEO, AEO, or GEO? No? All right. Let's talk about budgets.
I was just gonna say I have a quick question, kind of
Oh,
related to it.
sure.
Unlike the AI thing, um, what are some tools that, or with some of these AI tools, and since they're becoming like new ways for people to discover businesses, like what's like a practical step a small business can take to improve, I guess, like its chances of being recommended to people through AI? That makes sense.
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say, I mean, if I had a magic wand for a small business, I'd say redo your website. Because if your website hasn't been redone in the last year, it was never optimized for this. So that would be a good use of budget, would be to redesign your website to be more proactive, to be able to, be ranked better. Also, having other people talk about your brand is where the GEO happens. So, press releases, influencers, reviews, recommendations, that all helps strengthen sort of that brand authority, which is where GEO really comes into play as being kind of the preferred answer to a question, or the recommendation, the brand that is recommended, comes from multiple sources because the AI is going out there and sourcing, lots of different information to be able to come up with that sort of qualified answer. Um, so that's an easy way. If you can't redo your website, focus on getting other people talking about your brand, press releases, reviews, affiliates, creators, um, is what I would do. Any other questions? You'll sound like the smartest person in the room if you say that AI is just going to be like HTML. You can quote me on that. Okay, let's talk about defining your objectives. So, growing an omnichannel business isn't about being everywhere at once. It's about investing strategically. So, the most successful brands build a strong foundation, then expand into new channels as revenue and operational maturity increase. Your budget should balance customer acquisition with investments that improve conversion, retention, and operational efficiency. So, recommended budget priorities, the foundation. So, build the infrastructure that powers every channel. So, your website, like we talked about, let's invest in better product photography. I know you guys need product photography. and video. Like a brand video is, a $3,000 investment maybe, but you can slice and dice that video and use it on your website, on your socials, in a newsletter. You can get a lot of juice for the squeeze. You're going to hear me say that a lot, like the juice for the squeeze. Like all of this stuff that you're investing in should have, be evergreen somewhat, where you can use it, reuse it, repurpose it, and get as much out of it as possible. Um, so, product data optimization, we talked about that. Inventory and order management, CRM and email platform, analytics and reporting. So, to kind of get you to that next level, we got to go through some of this foundation. You may have pieces and parts of this. We'll round it out a little bit, just to make sure you're there, with that foundation. Now let's talk about customer acquisition. So I would say that should be, maybe 30-40% of what you're investing in terms of, your overall and I'm just talking about your marketing budget. I'm not talking about your overall like operating budget. But as you look at like what you want to invest in, digital ads, SEO and content marketing, retail media. I was talking to a brand yesterday, where we do some work with Meyer where we help with their Grow program and probably similar to this program. And one of the brands I was talking to said, well, she's in 50 Meijer stores. They're getting picked up in Rural King is a new one for them. So they have a growing retail footprint. And I said, are you on Instacart? Are you running Instacart ads? And she said, no. And I was just floored because it connects all of that. And it's very cost effective. And it also, from a secret sauce standpoint, you can see right away if it's working because people are ordering. They're clicking and they're ordering and they're adding them to their basket. So retail media should not be overlooked. It's very cost effective, and you can see immediate results. So definitely, I could talk about retail media. That's a whole separate thing. But I'm really bullish on retail media and what you can do with retail media. So if you have even a small retail footprint, which like the brand we work with, in the ice cream brand out in California, they've got a small retail footprint in the Bay Area. So Molly Stone's, some of these smaller, like maybe 7 stores, uh, chains. But it's enough for them. For us, $30 a day makes a big difference, in terms of, people finding them on Instacart and then rebuying them too. So don't overlook Instacart, or other retail media channels. We do Target too. We're running Target for them. Um, and if you're in Costco, people shop Costco, people shop Target, people shop Meijer through Instacart. So I don't there I feel like maybe it's an underlooked channel. Um, and then content creators. So 15 to 20% user generated content, creator partnerships, social media, live shopping, product videos, photography. That's why we built out our studio because we saw a need for kind of a one-stop shop that could handle your product photography, your video, your live stream shopping, your website, your advertising, and your social media. That's what we do. Um, and, we work with all sorts of different brands, not just consumer facing brands either. We work with some, business services and some B2B brands. But, right now we're in the process of B2B commerce, again, is important and should not be overlooked. We're building a dealer portal for one of our clients. We're building a distribution portal, that it accepts POs, for one of our clients. So I think we're building 3 different B2B marketplaces right now, as part of, in addition to what we do on the consumer side. And then customer retention. So 10 to 15% email marketing, loyalty programs, subscriptions, personalization, remarketing, brand activations, promotions. Bake into what you're thinking about, especially if you're a brand that could do well over the holiday, start thinking about what the promotions are that you're going to do on a Black Friday. Um, you know, we talk about like one of my clients does a lot with very holiday centric. So we're talking about summer ween. And Summerween is a new thing where, you go and you walk into a Target one day and it's all Halloween and it's August. So that is a new sort of emerging trend in retail. We want to capitalize on that, from an e-commerce standpoint too, where we're baking in these promotions. We also have, kind of spicy or pumpkin spice latte season. What is it? PSL season. That's coming too. So, there are these like e-commerce shoppable moments that happen predictably year over year that we start thinking about and planning for as we are in, Q3 going into Q4. But anyway, long story short, bake that into your budget. And then innovation. So test new opportunities, AI tools, emerging marketplaces, live shopping pilots. Try it. You're not out anything if it doesn't work for you, but at least you've tried it. But again, consistency pays off. Being consistent, just like the magic of influencers and becoming a creator, isn't that you've got any sort of secret sauce. It's that you're out there every day talking about the same topic. It's consistency. So if you have a chocolate brand, a chocolate shop, whatever you do, and you're out there talking about chocolate every day on your stream, you're going to get noticed. That's just how it works. Really, it's consistency is really kind of worth the investment. And then so innovation. So new ad channels, new technologies. Always invest in that. One of my former bosses always had this phrase that is still true today. He said, "Change or die." So constantly looking at your business, looking at the market, and sort of skating to where the puck's going, is how we operate, how we help our clients operate, and how I kind of want you to operate as you look at, what's possible with a lot of these channels. So again, some of the key components of your budget should be the content creation tools, outsource agencies, paid advertising, and then some of the social media tools where you can manage everything. We use a platform called Cloud Campaign, which I think is a really good one to look at. It's fairly inexpensive. And then here's just some other tools that we use too. So once you've kind of identified your goals and you kind of know what your budget is, research the average cost per category, put this all in a budget. It's really going to help you stay organized and achieve the goals that you want. It's really hard to achieve a goal, with what is it? A strategy without a plan is just a dream. So have that plan in place as you look at especially Q4 and shoppable moments that are coming, and put that all together, and set benchmarks. So, kind of use past campaign data and industry averages to estimate ROI, allocate more budget to platforms and campaigns that perform best, use analytics to measure performance against KPIs, reallocate funds to high performing campaigns or channels, and then plan for some level of flexibility. So reserve a portion of your budget, 5 to 10% for unexpected opportunities or platform changes. One of my clients, has an opportunity to partner with an influencer. They're a bean company, and we have an opportunity to work with an influencer that only focuses on burgers. He makes smash burgers, and what we're gonna do is have him make a black bean burger at that he's gonna kind of have a recipe for it put out on his channels. He's also going to do this spicy black bean burger at an event he's doing. So again, we didn't plan for that. It just kind of evolved that way. And now we have to have that budget, but sort of plan for things that might pop up along the way, just in case there's like an amazing opportunity to work with someone. So, kind of break that all down. I mean, some of this is pretty obvious, but just in terms of that monthly allocation, if you break it out in bite-sized chunks and say, okay, let's look at 3 months, let's look at the year, let's look at 6 months, let's look at 3 months quarterly, and then what's that monthly allocation in terms of content creation, paid ads, tools and software, personnel, training and development, and then a miscellaneous budget too. So then you have that predictability in terms of, sort of knowing what you want to achieve, but also having the budget in place, a manageable budget that will get you to where you want to go. So, any questions before I kind of wrap up with the game plan? Y'all are so quiet. All right, let's talk about how to scale while keeping operations efficient and manageable. So, best practices for scalable growth. Standardize before you scale, create repeatable processes for product launches, content creation, inventory management, and reporting. Centralize your data, maintain one source of truth for product information, inventory, pricing, and customer data. We're just about to launch a website for a client that didn't have like one spreadsheet for their catalog data. So we just, I mean, it sounds fundamental, but we worked with them to structure the right type of data that we need in the spreadsheet, but it's also become a source of truth for them. So just make sure you have that in place. It can be really helpful as you scale. Um, and then use the right technology for your stage and budget, and do your best to synchronize inventory, process orders, update product listings, and power marketing workflows. Some of this is going to take time, and I don't want you to feel overwhelmed, like, oh my God, I have to do so much stuff. You can take it in bite-sized chunks. You don't have to achieve all of this in order to scale, and you know your business better than anyone. So you know what might need some attention and some love and what you've kind of got down pat. This is just kind of a framework. So, again, measure what matters. So focus on KPIs, profitability, customer acquisition cost, customer lifetime value, inventory turnover, fulfillment performance, not just revenue. Leverage partners to improve efficiency. So strategic partners can help to accelerate content creation, personalize customer experiences, optimize advertising, and automate customer support, and build for flexibility. So select platforms and tools that can grow with your business as new channels and technologies emerge. Overall, the omni-channel opportunity, this is kind of where I'll wrap up. Consumers don't think in channels, they think in experiences. Today's customers discover, research, compare, and purchase products across multiple touch points. The brands that win create one connected commerce ecosystem that delivers a seamless experience, whether the customer shops online, in store, or through a creator. Connected commerce is the future. Every channel should strengthen the next. Retail builds brand awareness, creators build trust, social commerce drives discovery, marketplaces capture demand, your website owns the customer relationship, AI personalizes every interaction, or it can. Email and loyalty drive repeat purchases. So together they create a commerce flywheel that fuels sustainable growth. Again, pro tips, start small, scale as you see results. Start with one main channel as you get established. Keep your budget aligned with broader marketing goals. Review weekly to optimize your spend. And if you need our help, this is how you contact us, tandemtide.com. My email is brandy@tandemtide.com. Feel free to reach out, ask any questions. I'm here to help. Again, we are a JumpStart preferred partner. And we love working with JumpStart. We're working with a couple different JumpStart clients right now, and we're happy to help you guys.